I am back with another book review, and today I thought I'll share my thoughts about my first self help book, which is The Courage to Be Disliked. I had a bittersweet experience reading it, more bitter than sweet, but the sweet bits were quite powerful. The Courage to Be Disliked is written by Japanese philosopher and psychologist Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga, a professional author, and both of them are strong proponents of Adlerian psychology. For brief context, Adlerian psychology or individual psychology is a school of thought that was developed by Alfred Adler, who was of the opinion that we can focus on growth and success by overcoming feelings of inferiority and developing a sense of belonging. He also famously held contrasting views with Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis and someone I like to call the daddy of therapy. Now, back to the book. The Courage to Be Disliked follows a conversation between a sagely wise old man and an unhappy yet curious young adult who comes to him to understand life and seek answers like any existential youth. The wise man is a strong believer and follower of Adlerian psychology, and all his answers are rooted in the same. The book is divided into 5 chapters, one for each of the night the youth visits him. I have a brief idea of what each of these 5 chapters hold, and then move on to what I thought about the book. The first night is all about denying trauma. The book downright states that trauma does not exist. In fact, Adlerian psychology states that our past should not have any bearing on our present or our future. And through this, we are introduced to the concepts of etiology or past causes and teleology, our future goals. Wise man then explains how Freudian psychology is based on etiology and how it is rooted in possession, which means that we possess traits from our past, from our parents, etc. Versus teleology, where he says Adler psychology is a psychology of use or how we make use of our past experiences. It says we have the power to choose our life and our lifestyles. On the second night, the wise man states that all problems are interpersonal problems and how we tend to base our actions on others' actions or approval. This could be family, friends, or even our colleagues. So when we look at others as competition instead of as comrades, life becomes miserable. On the third night, the wise man advises the young man to discard other people's tasks. He then talks about separation of tasks, which means we don't interfere in others' tasks and we don't let them interfere in our tasks and we just let people be. By not interfering, it does not mean that we do not care about others' tasks, example, a task between a mother and a child or a father and a child, but we let them know that if they need us, we are there. And this creates a sense of balance and freedom. The fourth night focuses on community building and how we should focus on building horizontal relationships, which means that we consider everybody equal. We're equal but not the same, instead of building vertical relationships that are based on praise and approval. Goes so far as to say that praising someone is actually looking down on them because it is a kind of judgment that's being passed by someone with ability onto someone without ability. On the fifth night, the wise man urges the youth to live life earnestly in the present, in the here and now. He says we must enjoy what we do right now and not fixate on the end result because chances are that if we have fun or enjoy doing what we're doing right now, we will tend to do it for a long time. We will be consistent with it and might end up, achieving the goal that we had in mind in the first place. The last chapter also delves into accepting ourselves the way we are, choosing happiness, and having the courage to lead a normal life. Okay, now that we have a quick summary, let me move on to the bits that felt like lofty claims or unscientific. And once that's done, I'll move on to the bits that I really liked. Based on this book, Adlerian psychology tries to villainize Freudian psychology and therapy in general, downright denying trauma and saying that we have the ability to control our lives is not just victim blaming but also unsuitable advice to the neurodivergent. As readers, I know we possess discerning power, and while reading this book, or any self help book for that matter, I think we should fully exercise that power. Because every person is different, everyone's brain chemistry is different. Book kind of makes this broad assumption that everybody has the innate ability to take action as soon as reading this book. That is exactly where I said it kind of ignores the neurodivergent people who often face challenges in organizing their thoughts and actions. This book, in fact, calls people with inferiority feelings self centered and selfish. Over and over again, the book also tells us that we are not products of our past. But then I thought, my therapist tells me the same. This shouldn't be in contradiction to therapy, because what my therapist tells me is that, okay, they help me identify whatever caused my thoughts or actions, and then helps me overcome them. They don't ask me to sit stuck in that or use that as a justification for my shitty actions. For people who continue to use past trauma as reasons for whatever they're doing, despite having the awareness and the knowledge of it, that's a whole another topic. That has nothing to do with fraud. There's a chapter in this book where it covers inferiority and superiority and how both are intertwined. Here, to substantiate his point, he says that people who wear bedazzled jewelry or like rings on all their fingers do it out of inferiority feelings or superiority complex. It's twisted, but yes, that's what he says. Philosopher, the wise man, is condescending and does not understand why people have to climb the corporate ladder, and goes on to say how this desire is actually fueled by the wish to be seen as someone important by the society. And I thought, no. First of all, we are all people with ambition. Second of all, we are people with huge bills. So basically, these are some of the bits that I disliked, and what I observed is that most of his claims are based on experiences rather than science or research. So it's completely subjective. We can't just put people into buckets. Human beings are all unique. So self help books need to consider that. Moving on to the bits that I liked. I am someone who needs a reassurance now and then that I do have the power to change my life, and this book does just that. I also specifically like the part about separation of task because as a mom, I tend to interfere in my son's life a lot, and sometimes I tell him what's best for him, or I try to do things for him so that it would be easier for him to move around or navigate the world. But then I realized that not interfering, but just telling him, hey, if you need me, I'm here, and just giving him his space is assurance enough. And I also felt that this approach will help me feel less bitter and laden with work all the time. Another part that shook me in a really good way is the chapter that said freedom is in having the courage to be disliked, and how it is also a sign that we are living just in accordance with our own principles. As someone who always seeks a lot of validation, this was eye opening for me. Doing what I have to do, what I can do with as much dedication and love as possible is what I can do and what I can control. And others' reaction to it is something that I can never control and should therefore never seek. In terms of relationships, be it familial or professional or friendly, the book reminded me that nobody owes me anything. Every relationship should be based on mutual respect and equality and love and nothing more. As someone who struggles with feelings of self worth, I was also reminded towards the end of the book that only if we have, or only when we possess self worth, can we have the courage to be disliked. In fact, it covers how excessive self consciousness stifles the self. Finally, as someone who loves her share of Google photos and living in memories, I was reminded how we should start living in the present, living in the here and now, enjoying the experiences that we have right now. And that's when I realized, how much of my time was spent living in regret and harsh self-criticism. Overall, The Courage to Be Disliked is a book that is perfect for those who are looking to transform their lives without any external assistance. But for neurodivergent people like me, I would say steer clear of the book. Unless you're someone who's on a journey to challenge yourself, read more of what contradicts your perspectives. So yeah, that's my take on the book. If you read this book, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next one.